do it.
You want to do? You
Let's
take
do
it
it.
this time.
Hey guys, welcome to the mess hall with Jamie Rowan and Andrew Youngblood.
Hey, look at that. Our special guest, Billy Wayne Davis. From
Is this my
Stuff.
camera?
Yeah, that is your camera if you want to
Cool.
play it up.
Cool.
You can play it up to that one too. But you know,
That's
we
got
each
all
our
of us.
Very exciting stuff. But I forgot that you toured with Ralphie May. And we don't have to talk about this on the podcast if you
Good.
don't
That's
want.
good. That's good.
But
That's good. You forgot that.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I mean it. Like I just want you to think of me as me.
Well, yeah.
you know?
Well, we've been friends for a long time. I for sure, killer comic. But I do want to talk about the stealing jokes thing about Ralph. Can we do that, or is that not something? He's dead now. He's not going to get mad at you.
I mean, I don't think it's like a super secret.
It's not a secret, but since you open up, you got more of an insight. Because all right, so
I don't think.
being from Houston,
Oh no,
we
and
know
that
Sean.
was
I know Sean Rouse. Right?
well. That
knew
was
him.
what
And-
he would do. I can tell you what. Like
Do you want to hear the Houston? It's a very quick
I already
version
know
of
all that.
of what happened.
I already know. I probably know more versions than you do.
For
about
sure.
all
The
this.
people out
For sure.
there
Yes,
don't
they know.
know.
All right, so
Oh, okay. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that's
I was
true,
like,
that's
okay.
true.
I was just like, no, I know probably more than you
Yes,
do
well, I
about
know.
even Houston stuff.
That's what I would love
And I'm
to
just
hear.
sitting here just
Yeah.
like, ooh.
Yeah. So apparently, Sean Rouse used to open for Ralphie all the time. Ralphie would.
Not a lot.
Okay, well, see, I'm already wrong.
I think
but,
that
but
they would work because Sean was also taken off too.
yeah.
But I think
Because he
early,
had an HBO special.
well, yeah, and he's really funny.
He's
so
very
he was
funny.
so funny.
But he's such a mess.
They both were.
Yeah. But so he opened up for him. Ralphie stole a joke, at least one, and then put it on a special. And that's when Sean sees it. And Sean's like, I never want to fucking talk to this guy again. Fuck him. He's pissed off at everybody and everything, and mostly Ralphie. And then Ralphie shows up at Sean's house with $10,000, maybe $20,000, and is like, here's that. And Sean's like, go fuck yourself. And then Sean Rouse's wife took the money. That's
Oh, I don't know about any of that. I don't know the
story
details
I know on that.
about that. Now,
Yeah.
I don't.
Anyways,
I wouldn't argue any parts of that,
yeah.
but I don't know any.
This is all folklore from Houston
Sure.
comedy for me. I don't know
I
any.
do know, even like, okay, here's my history with it. Is my uncle lived here for quite a long time, and when I first started doing stand up, I came down here. The last stop was Legendary, and I was like, I'm going to do this Monday open mic, which would last forever.
Yeah.
And this was around the time Last Comic Standing, when Ralphie was on Last Comic Standing.
Yeah.
So he's blown up. And I do well at this open mic. And people are like, whoa, who are you? You know, when that happens. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And I'm like, oh, I'm not from here and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, what about that fat dude? Like, he was like, because he's, you know, from Last Comic Standing, if you don't know anything about him, it's like, that dude's funny.
Yeah.
And, like, they went from being nice to be like, fuck that dude. And I was like, whoa. And that was kind of like my first introduction to like a negative
Opinion of him.
or no, not opinion, but like a whole scene not being happy for someone moving on.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because I came from like this kind of tight little Nashville scene that we were giving each other tags when you came off the stage.
Of course,
and that
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, hey, you go do this. And that, like, that's where so I was just like, whoa, what is that? And then I looked more into the history of Houston comedy and I was like, oh, and then I hung out more and got some spots because I was funny. And I was like, oh, also there's a lot of cocaine here. So
Oh, it's crazy.
sure, that's the whole city. but-
Comedy here is 80% just people doing cocaine, and they're like, "You better stop doing a line. You got to get on stage."
Yes, it
It's
is.
very
well,
bad.
that's not new. That's always been. That's where I
Yeah.
learned a lot about.
drugs.
Well,
Or-
no, about. I didn't use cocaine that much. I was never, even from the first time I did it. It was like, oh, I can see where a certain type of personality really likes this.
Yeah, I don't like it.
and it's not for me. I'm a weed guy. Like, I need to slow this motherfucker down. I don't need
Yeah.
it going faster. But that's where I learned about like, oh, these guys are like cokeheads.
Yeah, of course.
It's like one dude in particular, we were hanging out and like
You got a
every
name?
night about, well, I can tell you later.
Where are these people? I want to be
There's-
part of
I'm
this.
betting some
I'm
of them
so
are still
old.
around.
Nobody ever even offers
there's
me
some.
Coke.
Yeah,
God
there's some
damn
that are
There's
it.
still
some still around for sure.
There's some others.
At least offer.
You don't,
Well, no,
you don't
this
get
was-
offered cocaine?
No.
They wouldn't
'cause you're-
offer then either.
I think that's because
yeah,
you're...
I guess cocaine people doing cocaine don't often
They're not
offering it up.
This
yeah.
what made me realize what was happening was this one dude about 10:30 every night would be like, "Can I borrow $40?" But he would pay me back the next day,
Yeah.
and then that night, whatever happened, I guess he'd spend it on booze or whatever, and then he'd be like, "Can I get $40 again?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I mean it's the same $40, really."
Yeah.
It's just, and then by the third or fourth night he did that, I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm getting coke from this dude." And I was like, "Oh," and then that's when you get that information, it's like everything became clear.
Yeah.
I just looked around the whole room. I was like, "Oh, that's where
Everyone's doing this?
that's where I was missing something. That was the missing piece."
Yeah.
So he had that you know what I mean? And I heard stories about him just like lifting stuff from all these Houston comics.
Yeah.
How many years in is he at that point?
Ralphie?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Me either.
He's not like a new comic though. Like he's
He's been he's lived in LA. He had worked for
Okay,
Jay Moore and
okay.
done all that stuff.
Didn't he get his start as like a teenager?
I think he
Super
started
young.
doing stand up in like as like
Was there ever a
18 or
skinny
19.
Ralphie?
I heard I heard
No,
a story with
never.
him and Sam
No.
Kinison.
I don't believe that
Oh,
story.
okay. But I've heard back
that was
then
that
when,
was a mythology
Okay,
that he
yeah.
created.
Okay, that
Gotcha.
makes
Because
sense.
I was that's I shouldn't. When I met him, I was already the house MC at Zany's. He came through.
Yeah. Nashville?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember just being weary of him when he came through.
Yeah.
And some comics had told me to be weary of him. And then he was like kind of awesome.
Yeah, of course.
And at that time, and I looked
Plus
when
he
I
murders, and it's so, like, when you
and
watch
he's
him,
sweet.
you're like...
He's
it's
like overly
yeah.
generous, I think, to a fault sometimes.
Gotcha.
And then he smoked a ton of weed, which is like that's my bag, man.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, all right, this guy's all right. And I was and still am like kind of a comedy nerd, especially then when I was learning.
Yeah, of
I was
course.
just soaking up, and I knew all kinds of. And at the time, he wasn't stealing.
Yeah.
He wasn't lifting stuff. He was very healthy. And I think it's in that time period where he did two of, I think, some of the best stand-up specials.
Yeah.
Like in the echelon of stand-up. He did. There's one in particular I really think is like pretty spectacular.
I've never actually watched a special of his. I've watched a million clips.
I watched him tape 2 in one night. And it
Wow.
was, none of them, but I was working with him quite a bit then, so like I know he wasn't lifting stuff because he
Yeah.
wasn't around other people. But when he started to get unhealthy during our relationship, is when he wouldn't. It wasn't like he would take like verbatim stuff.
Yeah.
So it was hard to be like, hey. But he would take,
Like an idea.
yeah, and like, or
Did he ever like, pitch it back to you? He's like, what do you think about this idea?
No,
You're
he
like,
was just doing it on
that
stage.
fucking...
he would just do it on stage.
Oh, that's
And I
crazy.
think it was a lot of like, he was lazy more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because that was the fascinating part to me was like, because he was like a brilliant comic that when he was like focused and working hard, it was like, it was
Yeah.
tough to beat.
I've also heard that when he stole jokes or ideas, he would steal it, but then he would also make it 10 times better than the thing he
Yeah,
stole.
so I was
you know
gonna
what I mean?
say,
Like he would upgrade
Do you
it, right?
think that there's ego there? Like, do you think that there's some ego of like, this person is a good writer, but they'll never have the stage charisma. They'll never have
Well, his
the
on
it
stage
thing
is
that
so
I
fucking good.
have. So
No,
why don't
it
I?
was money. It's money.
Yeah.
No, it's about money. It's about making. I watched him, and I'm not talking shit. Like, he was my buddy. This is like, I've analyzed my friend, who was also like this 1% type comic, that phenomenon. So I also analyzed him from a business perspective and an artist perspective. And so when I say this, it's like, it's with kind of respect, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
also like, you fucked up, man, is
Yeah,
what you
friends
did.
fuck up. That's
And I stopped being able to talk to him like a friend, and that's when we stopped. I, by design, slowly backed out of his life because I couldn't be like, what the fuck anymore.
yeah.
Without him, he couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
But he started making all his creative decisions based on money. So I don't even know if it was conscious, but I watched it happen. When every decision is like, well, what's the best way to make the most money here? What gets us the most money? Even
yeah.
like what to say and what to not to say, what gets us I watched his act get shittier.
Yeah. I can
And so
see that.
he as a person gets sloppier too.
Yeah.
And I was also like going through my own relationship stuff and like quitting certain substances and stop using those things. So like I was getting clarity at the same time and he wasn't. So it was tough to communicate that stuff. But I think it fascinated me because the ego for sure was something to do it. But like even now, like as an older comic, when I'm working with like younger dudes, sometimes they'll have like a little bit or something, and I'll be like, "Can I give you 10 minutes on that bit that you?" And they'll be like, "Whoa!" And I'll just be like, "Start their bit like they do, and then I'll just finish it with like a bunch because it's just this thing I know how to
of
do now
course.
because I've been doing it almost 20 years."
Also, it's so I
but
personally
it's
think
never
so
occurred to
fun
me to be
like,
"I'm gonna take that."
yeah.
Because I was like, I don't
I
care.
love giving someone a tag. It's
Yeah.
so exciting. Like it's to me like when you see someone do a joke that you obviously like enough to tag it up or whatever, and so you're like, that's a good joke, but then you're like, if you did this and this, it'll hit so much harder, and they just didn't think of it, and then because we all just think a little bit differently,
Sure.
You know what I mean? So you might
And
have
you're
a
not
different
thinking of
take.
how it looks too
Yeah,
when
of
you're
course.
doing it.
And then it's also really cool where you get like once you get to certain friends and stuff like that, you get a tag that ends up in a special on TV, and you're like, oh, that's in their act. That's really cool, and it's fucking I don't know, it's super neat. I love giving tags. I try to give them to. It's a good exercise. You know, we're just sitting there, and if we got to watch a comic, then
Yeah.
you know, why not just be doing that?
Be like,
It is
"Here."
a little scary. There's a certain level where it feels like maybe not comics, but maybe he had like friends, managers, like people making money off him too that are just like yes men who are
Oh.
justifying things to him where they're telling him like, hey man, and like it's their bread and butter too, right? So now he has this group of people around him that are like shielding him from the truth a little bit too.
Well, sure, but that was at the end, and that was his design. When you said ego, I don't think it was. I think ego was probably a little bit to do with it, but I think more than anything, what it was toward the end and the beginning was in deep insecurity. I mean, you don't weigh that much without some
course.
stuff, but like he was super successful being him when he was him.
Yeah.
And trusted himself. And then I think there was like some Chris Farley stuff in there too, where it was like, do they only like me because I'm a fat guy and all this? And it's like,
Yeah.
do I get healthy? What happens if I get healthy and I'm not funny anymore? Like, is this thing? And then like Hollywood fucked with him a lot, and it fucks with everybody because that's a mind fuck to think of. And I've never experienced it, but perspective wise. And I've had heat or whatever at moments in my career where they take you around and do the stuff. But to have like numbers like that,
Yeah.
and then to be like literally wherever you go, sell out, and people are fucking nuts about you.
Yeah.
And then to go pitch stuff creatively, and these people, these cold motherfuckers in a room that aren't connected to the rest of the world at all. They're just big money fucking executives to tell you like, nah. No, you're not.
Yeah.
That after a while, and then you see other people that they're like, yeah, we'll give money to you for no fucking reason, and they can't go draw, and they don't have a fan base.
Yeah.
That's a weird mind fuck.
For sure.
And then I can't speak for his personal life because that's none of my business.
Yeah.
But like, it just compounds. I know now where I'm in a position where I wasn't then. I see things through a different lens of what he was going through. And it actually changed my life and changed my trajectory to be with him. Because people do ask me all the time, like, there's some fucking dark, deep stuff there, and some
Of
stuff
course, yeah.
I'll probably never talk about publicly. But what I got to see is fame and money, like all the trappings of that, like all the pratfalls, like, and see someone that I was pretty close to make all the wrong decisions with a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I had to not be his friend anymore, that sucked. Like, it wasn't even like career stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, my friend's dying, is what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And I can't talk to him about it. So now that changed the way I go about booking shows, chasing certain parts of the industry. No, there's times I get really fucking frustrated because you see so much garbage. And then I get why they're successful. It's because they work really fucking hard at the stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't. Like, you also see, this is just like separately from comedy. I always talk about the like idea of putting a joke out there and like, you know, tepid response. Maybe that's just because I need to do better. But I also think like sometimes it's a genuinely like good joke, and then some bitch has to just sit on a cake and she'll have 8 million views. You know, she didn't do. So I am frustrated all the time, but it's why obviously you don't have to talk about his personal life, but it's like I think it's so important to have other things that make you happy in your life, because if all of your joy and self-worth comes from any one thing, then you're gonna be fucked.
It's identity. Human beings will get hung up on, this is my identity, this is who I am, and it's not healthy to make that one thing because most of life is constant change. So I've watched people I love. I watched people close to me. One of the mind fucks I've ever seen was like, I watched this very wealthy couple that my wife's family, and they retired, and then COVID hit, and then their whole identity changed, and they ended up both, I mean, this is getting dark, but they both committed suicide, and they had literally everything. Like, anything you could ask for, they had it all.
Did they do it together?
No, it's 6 months apart, but yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was it was kind of romantic, if we're being like by the definition of romance.
Very Romeo and Juliet-esque.
Very.
Yeah.
She did it the same way he did.
Jesus.
That was,
This is a darker episode of the mess hall.
But you started
I
it with
did
this
start
fucking
it.
I
fact
normally this is why I normally don't talk about my family.
I didn't realize it was such a sad story.
Here's another part of the stealing stuff.
Otherwise, I wouldn't. I felt like at one point you would
No,
cry.
It's in LA. I do think
sometimes
it's more.
good.
It's LA.
Yeah.
It seems not accepted, but there isn't, like in New York. You know, if you're known as a thief in New York,
You're done.
fucking done. You know what I mean? But in LA, it doesn't. It's not like, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself an LA comic. I'm a comedian that lives in Los Angeles.
Yeah, 100%.
So, that whole scene is different to me because it's not, it seems like they're all in a waiting room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not working on stuff, really. They're not trying to get better as comics.
Yeah, they're in LA for a reason. They're not
they're waiting for
necessarily to get
something
a
else.
stand-up special.
And I don't mean that
New York is more
I do mean it negatively, but also like,
New York's more of a purist stand-up like town, I think.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it seems like more
And there
comics
is
in
more
LA are
integrity
going
in
out
there,
to
I
like
think.
auditions for commercials
No, the extreme,
and whatever else.
Well,
yeah.
it's like the reason I'm in LA is like my wife is a writer, and I am interested in just a little more than stand-up. Now, I think I'm a pure stand-up at heart, but like I got to work with Sacha Baron Cohen because I lived in LA.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I will never be like, LA sucks.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
of
So
course.
it's like cool shit happens because you're there. And my son was on that side of the country during this when I was trying to decide. I'd much rather live in New York and do stand up.
Wait, how old are your kids?
I have a 14 or a 13-year-old and a 4-year-old. 2 different ladies.
Okay.
I'm 42.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, 42.
I always like when I meet someone who has two kids with 2 different people, because I do.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't suggest it.
and of course it's complicated. And you have a wife now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't.
I've had 2 of them.
I don't. So I have all these really awkward dates and things like that when I meet someone where they're like, "Oh, so how old are your kids?" I'm like, 13 and 6. They're like, "Oh, wide gap." And I'm like, "Yeah." My oldest just started finding clips of me on the internet, and
Mine
so
too.
I'm fucked.
I have to he'll like some of my Instagram stuff.
Like
every now
sending you a message.
Well, we go back and we'll talk on because that's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
he communicates sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I'll send him art and things he likes.
And you're like, "Come downstairs."
and then I posted this electroshock bit
Yeah,
about gay people.
yeah.
And I forgot. It was just in the thing,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
trying to post your clips. And then he was like, he was at school, but during breaks they can pull out their
Yeah.
phone, and he was like one of the first people to like it. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I gotta be careful with it, because like one of my bits is talking about like I'm a single father and blah 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 like that.
Yeah.
I just say it for sympathy and
Yeah.
talking about pulling out, one of those
Yeah.
jokes. So like if he does see it, he'll be like, "Was I an accident?" I'm like, "Motherfucker, you weren't part of my plan at that time, but
Yeah.
I have fought for you and I've spent a lot of money on you, so you're
I
my
would-
dude."
I play video games with my kid a lot, We'll play
Yeah.
Fortnite. So I'll play with him and his friends. Like I'm friends with all of his friends on whatever. And so
They talk
he's not
crazy shit.
They do, and it's pretty wild. And I just kind of sit there and like listen to my son call these kids all sorts of awful names. But I can't be the dad over it's so weird,
Well,
But he goes,
all I do on that one, because
Yeah.
I'll overhear, when I first started overhear him saying
Yeah.
stuff, because you can't hear what they're saying.
yeah.
I was like, "Whoa, hey, you can't talk to people like that." And then he's like, "No," and I could hear them. I was like, "Oh, I guess that's the way y'all." I was like, "But when I was growing up, you said that to somebody, like you might,
Yeah.
a fight."
Yeah. On that, there's no filter on the game.
It is not.
It is wild.
Yeah.
But I was playing the other day, like this a week
It's
ago.
like Reddit.
I'm playing. Yeah, it's like a 4chan. Like it's
They're
so
fearless
bad.
when there's
They're
a
just
screen
like,
in between
Oh
you.
my god! They're like calling each other the F word and just like going back and forth.
Well, we did that when we were young.
Yeah,
but-
that's a good
I know, but then
teenage
there's like
word.
there's one
Sorry, gay
day
people.
there's like a he's 13 and his friends are all 14 and 15 and 16 and then they also play with this kid who's really good at video games for his age, but he's 9.
Oh yeah.
And so they all just shit on this 9-year-old.
Yep.
And like, you spawn, you come back to life, and they're all on a team. We're playing Rainbow Six or something like that. So they spawn, and the first thing all they do is they kill the little kid, and the little kid starts crying on the thing. I'm like, and then he leaves, and then he comes back, and then he leaves, and he comes back, and then they just kill him again. I'm like, you guys are harassing this poor 9-year-old.
He was
And
audibly
so-
crying.
He literally, and then they're like, oh.
They're
all
mean.
They're so
Yeah.
mean. They're like, oh no, he's gonna cry again. And then the poor 9-year-old is like, guys, I promise I'm not gonna cry. And if you stop killing me, then I won't have to cry. So please. And I'm like, I literally am like, guys, you're bullying this poor kid.
Yeah, you can't be a part of that.
I was just
Yeah.
silently listening to for a little bit, and I was like, "This is bad, guys. You're just being mean."
Wait,
and
this
then
is-
my kid brings up. He goes, "Hey, Dad, I just recently saw some of your stand up on the internet," and I was like, thinking of all the clips I have out there, and he goes, "Yep, my dad," and he's talking to his friends. He's like, "My dad had a threesome." And I was like, "This
God,
is fucking
that's-
awful."
Not. That's not a
And also,
conversation.
it's about having a threesome with a guy and a girl. Like it's like having one of those.
I don't think that matters at that
Yeah,
age.
well,
I
I
think they're
know,
just more like, your dad's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that how he has 2 kids?
Yeah.
With
shit.
2 ladies at one time?
Oh, God damn it.
This is how I'm not a mom, because you told that story about a 9-year-old crying, and I was just like, why the fuck would he cry in front of them?
No, he's
Get it
He's at home.
together.
He's at home.
Yeah, but he's on the mic.
But I
He
think-
turn his mute thing on?
But
or
I think
something?
it's more like what happens in these rooms is like you're wanting to play so bad.
you just
and-
stay on.
Well, then they kill you immediately, and it's not like you're crying because it hurts your feelings. You're just like crazy frustrated more
And-
than anything.
well,
That's what it is.
I actually think I'm with you on that. Yes, that's part of it, especially for this kid in this
Yeah.
situation.
And he's 9, so he can't be like,
It's all
fuck
tense,
you.
yeah.
It's not like testosterone yet because he's 9.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he can't be like, I'm going to fucking fight you fucks. It's
He
like,
doesn't know what to
it's like,
do.
I don't feel good.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna break my headphones. headphones. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He was like, and then he pretended that he messaged them in the group. I broke my headphones and said nothing. And then they all talked shit about him. And then they're like, guys, I was just playing a trick. I have my headphones on. It's just like, poor kid. He's 9. He doesn't make sense, you know?
He's in the deep end.
Yeah, and it's so sad. But also, I will say that
We let this 9-year-old play because we get to be mean to it.
that's all it is. Is now my kid, my 13-year-old, he doesn't have a lot of in-person friends. Like he's not his best friend. I just know their gamer tags. Like that's, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and those are his best friends. He hangs out with them every day.
Yeah.
Like he plays with them for a couple hours. They've known each other they've been playing video games for 5 years together. And he's only 13. You know what I mean? They've been playing forever. And like, I told my kid that I don't know if it'll be weird or if it'll ever actually work out. But I was like, if you arrange it with their parents, I'll take you to go meet this kid finally.
Yeah.
Because they literally, they're best friends. They talk. Also, they get in fights every once in a while. And there's been times where my son was in tears because his best friend and him got into a fight and they like blocked each other for a little bit and he like missed his friend. And so, now and the internet, that's like a playground, or like when we played outside, that's them playing outside essentially with their friend. They're just there with their friend. So it's pretty wild.
It is like, my son has like he has different groups of friends. Like he changed from this one middle school to another one. But he still has some friends that were older, like a year older. So they went to high school when he went to this other one. And that's his
That's how he keeps up with them.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so they all go to school together, but he knows what's going on because he's like part of that group. And they'll go hang out sometimes. But like most of the time, you're right. They're like, that's how they hang out. And then he has like neighborhood friends that they'll play, but they're mostly like, hey, come out and skateboard, or hey, come out and It's like this interesting balance that we didn't have. And then like spring break was last week. And I was like, do you want to go anywhere or do anything? Spring break or anything?
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, nah, dude, I think I want to just skate with my friends and play video games with my friends. And I told my wife, I was like, oh, like if we had a device where we could play games with each other from our house in our room.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's what spring break would be. Is like, I'm just going to stay at my house and not leave my room and eat junk and stay up all night.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like every night's kind of a sleepover.
We were on the age-wise, you're just a little bit older than me, but we were on the verge of like right before online gaming became huge. There was like computers that you could play StarCraft and shit like that with people, but it wasn't the same because you're just typing to somebody, but like, Nintendo, like GoldenEye, I played that game so fucking much with all my friends, but they all had to come over.
Yes.
So it was like 4 of us in a room playing all the time. And so now everyone's just in their own room doing it. So it's,
Do you
kinda
say
hard.
no screens? Do you try to control it or anything? Like, do you worry about him not people not being able to do like social interactions just for like
Well, he goes to school. So
Yeah, I guess
school
that's
really
true.
helps with, and then I was getting worried about TikTok, the way he was doing TikTok.
I get worried about the way I do TikTok.
yeah,
I
I'm
don't do it.
I'm
I'm not on there.
upset.
I
I
have an
scroll
account, but I
and-
don't
yeah.
use it, and it's an issue with my management. But I'm like, hey, listen, it's gonna get banned, and they're like, yeah, but you should get on there before, and I was like, it doesn't make any sense, but I'm wrong anyway. But the way he was using it, I was like, just dad concerned for a minute, and then one day he was like, I deleted TikTok. I was using it too much. But now he's on
Wow.
Instagram, but not as much. Like he likes it better. He's outside more, and like I don't know what happened, but it was like I didn't have to be like, yo. But there's just like daily reminders of being like when he gets up some mornings, he'll just plop up and turn on whatever video game is on
Yeah.
before school and stuff. And then I'm just like, oh, you have to do all the stuff. You have to have your shoes on and be ready and everything.
Then you can play. Yeah.
Then you can play. And then I noticed that we don't really play video games a lot if you have to do all this stuff.
yeah,
real
if you have to
fast.
do your stuff first.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just like slow stuff and then out the door. So I was like, that's kind of like, it'll take care of itself if you give them stuff to do. So you don't have to be like, because if you're like, don't do that, they'll want to do it more.
More.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just showing them different stuff is what it is.
My kid deleted TikTok also. And I don't want to dive into it too much, but he told me because China was spying on us. Anyways, we should take a call.
Your son,
It may be why mine did too. You know what I mean?
Son
Who knows?
is a Trumper and a tinfoil hat.
He is a bit of I have a little
He's
bit of
not wrong about
I
that.
have a bit of a QAnon kid.
Twitter and all that stuff is banned in China. You know that, right?
Oh, I didn't know Twitter was banned in China.
Yeah, all that is banned in China.
I don't really
Facebook.
use Twitter
I'm on
or
Twitter a lot.
TikTok.
I scroll
only
on Twitter a lot, and that's worse than a lot of the other scrolls because for whatever reason, Twitter, I don't know if it's my algorithm, but Twitter thinks I want to see people getting shot and beat up. That's basically it.
Do you like those a lot?
No, but I will.
You'll
I'm
hover.
like
It knows
watching
even
them
if you
when I'm on
hover.
Twitter,
It
and
does.
I'll,
It's crazy how
Porn
intuitive
knows
it
if you
is.
hover too.
I'll mention one thing to someone
Porn
about like
algorithm's great.
I need new leggings or whatever, and then I go. Instagram is my obsession. And I'll go on and I just mentioned to somebody the word leggings and their ads for me, like targeted ads. And it works, by the way. And I'm buying shit and it's fucked up my attention span.
It is. I mean, obviously it works. Sometimes I see like ads for things and I'm like, I don't think I said that out loud. It like
Yeah,
scares
I
me.
think
I'm like,
that
I just
too.
thought about that.
Well,
Why are you in my fucking brain?
I've read about this.
Yeah.
You didn't say it out loud, but we are so routine based,
Yeah.
and so they can, because they have so much data on us,
Yeah.
so much data that they can start predicting what you do, what you will want, or based on your history and things like that. So
in
when
the
you
summertime, you buy this.
yes,
or
this
you
time
do-
of day,
yeah.
you're usually doing this or liking this or doing that. Or you bought something at Amazon here, or you did something. Like they
Yeah.
have all that data now that they can predict your behavior. And that's why, like, I think I'm a little nuts because they can't predict my behavior.
Yeah.
Because it's never been like, whoa, I didn't think about that. It's every now and then it'll be like a person will pop up on my feed where I'll be like, I wonder what connection of people I liked
Oh,
or
yeah,
there's
yeah.
stuff I saw that I was like, oh, I wonder what that person's doing, like in my head, and then they'll pop up in like some feed somewhere, and I'll be like, oh, they've led me to, or they've seen this, because it's not somebody watching you in a room being like, you're gonna like this. It's
Yeah.
math.
Yeah, of course.
So
They're pretty good at it. I mean, I would say most of my
It's a-
real streams, they've got me pinned down. And
Yeah.
I learned that I really like America's Got Talent auditions. Like
I kinda like it, too.
It's always in my feed all the time. And I was like, why did this start showing up? And then I'm like, this is kind of touching, and I like it. Like I like it. I like it.
I like the positivity porn like pages. That's what I call it. Like the like Upworthies and Good News Movement and stuff like that. Do you watch those?
No.
Oh my God, it's the best. And then I'll do it like first thing in the morning. I'll start watching those, like, 'cause it makes me feel happier just to start the day. But I'll be weeping at like 7 a.m. So I look psychotic. My husband is like, "Can you shut the fuck up,
can you not cry at 7?
please? It's too much."
Can we do it in the afternoon?
But by the way, he is an adult man, and he will go.
That's
he was on a
good.
work
Good
trip.
for you.
I
That's a
know.
good choice.
We did talk about. All right, let's not go.
They. I don't know. I just call everyone they now.
That's
This is the
progressive.
safest way. Well, you know what? I've actually been in a lot of conversations with friends that have transitioned recently, and I was like making because I didn't know. I really had to, I asked this just the other day, and I was like, "Am I?" You know, they're like, "Identify as he him now, right?" And I was like, "Is it okay for me to call you they? Is that in?" Because in my head, I was
No,
like,
you say-
they them is from what their
I
point
think
of view
people
is.
just want you to make an effort. To
Yeah,
be-
exactly. But that's also they them. I think is all encompassing. You know, it's not they them is not gender.
You know what
right?
the best one is?
What?
Y'all.
I do like
True.
y'all.
That's
But
But
everyone's y'all.
if they say he, him, say use those pronouns.
I call everyone dude. So
Dude's a good one too.
Well, see, it is until the one person it won't be for.
Who?
You know what I mean?
That's
Oh,
all tone and inflection.
Yeah. Like, what's up, dude? I say that to everybody. You know. But I feel like if you say that to someone who's a woman or identifying as a woman, someone might get mad about that. No.
Well, then,
I was in my
I
brain. I don't
think-
want to offend anybody ever.
and that's impossible. That is
Yeah,
impossible, and
exactly.
you're giving a lot of people a lot of power there.
But I only, you know, it's funny. I only feel that way in person in conversation. I don't feel like that on stage. I love I love
think,
a dark joke. I love that. You
I
know?
think as long as, and this is my whole travel, I can go into a lot of different places my whole life, is your energy. If people can feel that you're like, you can say like literally the worst thing on accident or that you don't mean it, but if you say that, most people are like, you're not bad. Most people know, you know what I mean? That you're just like, but I also lived in the Northwest, like I said, so there's some real fucking lunatics up there that will use that. And that's the issue, is like people using issues as power plays.
Yeah, I was literally going to talk about this today because this happened this week. Like, it happens, it's always happened,
It's
even
ego
before
is
things
what it
got
is, yeah.
crazy. But, like, and it hurts the cause of people who actually have issues. So, like, I was interacting with a person this week, and their life in so many ways is just harder than mine. And I want to be gentle to this person because this is a person I love,
Sure.
right? And so I know that they have gone through it. I know
You're trying
their
to be
background.
empathetic
I'm trying
to
to
their struggle.
Yes. However, I know that over the years, it's become clear to them that it is a tool that they can weaponize,
Mhm.
that they have hardship, right?
Yep.
And they know that they can gain sympathy. They know that they can. And so sometimes what they do to gain sympathy is completely valid because there's something very specific that they went through that's directly related to their hard life or the stuff that they have. However, sometimes they then will use that thing when it has nothing to do with what the specific instance of what's going on. So I'll use like a small example from when I was waiting tables. There were a lot of single moms at this one restaurant I worked at.
Hooters.
And they would,
Hell yeah.
I don't know if you've seen me, but there's no way I'm working at Hooters.
Hey, they did-
Raisins.
I was gonna.
Raisins. Oh yeah, from South Park.
Hey, sweetie, what's up? God, that's a great
Oh
episode.
God, it's such a good episode. Everyone watch South Park, the Hooters episode, Raisins episode. But yeah, these single moms, like a lot of times would be like, at first felt valid, like, oh, can you cover my shift? The kid's sick, da-da-da. Okay, I'll work a double. I'm already here anyway, da-da-da. And then it keeps happening again and again and again. It's like, yes, your life is hard. I can't imagine having a kid. We were all in our 20s, you know?
Sure.
I'm like, I can't imagine what you're going through. Like, that sucks.
Where did you work?
I'm
Was it?
privileged, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I'm a piece of shit. But, like, you can't take advantage of me 7 times in a week. You know, like, at some point, your hardship card is, like, going to be revoked if you keep on.
But I think that's a type of what I've learned. I totally agree. And I've struggled with that kind of person my whole life. I think if you're raised, like, my parents always, we are, you know, we don't have the most, but we don't have the least. So you help everyone in the community and people and that's how most people are.
Yeah.
But I think it's a type of human being in there. Some people, like, they'll label them as takers. And I've talked to my therapist about this too. And what it is you have to give them a very stern boundary. And if you do, they'll be, oh, okay, I can't. And then no issue or anything with you anymore. And they won't try that with you anymore. But because of whatever type of that taker personality or whatever it is they will keep taking as long as you will give. So it is up to you to be like, stop. And it's a mind fuck.
And they're also
Because
ruining
it's-
my view of the non-takers. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, that's
I'm
why
like,
you have to distinguish between, like,
they're making me jaded about everyone.
and that's why because you can't mislabel. That's what taught me was like, oh, I was mislabeling all unfortunate people as like this person who is just a taker.
Yeah.
Because we all have fucking things that we need help with. And then, but like most people, we're like, once we get help, we don't want to be a burden on someone. And some people don't even, so you just have to be like, oh, fuck off. And that's hard.
Well,
Yeah.
self-awareness isn't always there with most people. Well, not
Well,
most people, but a
especially
lot of
takers.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't get the self-awareness. Anyone else? My brain's been doing this lately. Does this ever happen to you guys? Where like, let's say I see somebody with like a weird mole on their face,
Okay.
right? And I'm saying hi to them or whatever. We're engaging conversation. My brain literally just says, "Andrew, don't say." What a fucking mole you got. Like, it just says, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. Like, I'm accidentally going to slip up and say it. It just repeats itself.
Is it
over
because
and
that's what you're focused on while they're talking?
Sometimes I am.
Have you said stuff like that before?
I've never gone, like, I've seen, like, let's say I saw a pair of boobs that I liked, right? So with some nice
been there.
cleavage.
Yeah.
In my head will instantly go, don't talk about how good her boobs are. Don't look at her boobs. Stop looking at the boobs. Don't, you know what I mean? Like,
Is it loud, the voice?
I mean, no one else can hear it.
Are
I
you
mean, I
hearing-
do. I mean, there is like, honestly,
like, yeah, it's loud. I mean,
even when
it's
I look
pretty,
at
like-
you, there is like it's probably a small part of my brain that is like, keep eye contact. Do you know what I mean? Like with a
Oh,
pretty lady. Do
when
you know
I-
what I mean? Because there is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
instinct to be like, just like check you out.
Oh,
Not even
thank
like-
you. Please, I'm old. And please.
But not even like in a sexual way either.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
too. Like is
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
like read someone up and down, and it does read kind of rude a little bit.
Of course.
So, but it is like
I have a hard time not thinking thoughts a lot generally. Like, I have to have a voice going when I sleep at night. Like, I have headspace on with the talking because my mind is
you have
constantly
like,
going.
instead of white noise, you have like someone talking.
Someone talking.
That's your
because-
white noise is like a story.
Yeah, it just
Like an
ran.
audiobook
But
or
he's
what?
saying
oh
nothing.
no, I will put like Law and Order or something. Like my wife noticed it is like because of years of being on the road and being alone and like just drinking or being stoned
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever, and then you fall asleep with the TV on. So when we first like started living together, she noticed real fast that I would like turn the TV on to something that I would want to watch, and within 10 minutes I was just asleep, and she would stay up for 2 hours watching whatever I put on because she couldn't turn it
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
And she was like, I can't, how do you sleep? And I was like, it took us like a good month to figure out why.
That's like your sleep noise.
And
essentially.
so like even last
I'm the
night,
same way.
I put on something on TV that I don't necessarily hate or love. It's like Law and Order's perfect
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you can,
I do like Family Guy or something fluffy to sleep too.
The
Usually.
only thing I
That's
think
good
that's
writing.
kind of weird about that
it just gets in there.
is like, when you're with someone that you have sex with pretty regularly or
Been there,
whatnot,
yeah. I've heard
But you
that.
go in and you're like, let's get ready for bed, and then you turn on Seinfeld, and then you go lay in bed, and then you start hooking up, and then you're just having sex with Seinfeld in the background. It's always so, and then Kramer pops in, he's like, and you're like laughing, but you're just like trying to focus on that.
That sounds awesome.
But yeah, I know it's great, but like it's to me it's weird. I always get distracted with the TV.
Probably helps.
Yeah. I'm a quick comer.
Right, well,
I'm not that quick.
I feel like when you're married, yeah, it doesn't. It's not like
There's a lot of pressure for
yeah,
guys with the
I'm
coming.
with you. It's like the
You-
surroundings don't matter when you're married.
yeah.
There could be like, there could be like a fire next door, and you'd be like, "Do you want to fuck real fast?"
Yeah.
What happened when you're
so,
when
and
you're
so
married?
a lot of
when you're
sober
married
lights
and-
on.
Yes.
Get to work.
When you're married and he comes quickly, now I'm not saying. I'm assuming maybe once in a while it does happen. Is it? You guys are like, okay, whatever, or you're like, come on, man.
The only time I'm upset, and you're gonna laugh at this because a lady someone called in about this, and we were like, "Fuck her," and truly, fuck her. But I will get upset. We've been together 16 years with the break. Everyone knows about the break, but we've been together a long time, and like 3 or 4 times he hasn't finished.
Oh, you
And
only get mad
that-
if they don't finish.
That makes me feel so fucking self-conscious.
huh?
And then I get
it's
upset
not
at him,
about
and
you,
I'm
it's
not
just a
proud.
whole-
I'm not proud of it, but I will say, I'll be like, "What the fuck? Do I look fat? What's wrong? What did I do?" Like, I'll turn into a
You're a piece of shit.
a psychopath. I'm not saying it's good. I know that
No.
I'm messed up,
No, you're a piece of
but
shit. It's
but
funny.
I'm very quick. I still fuck up, but I am self-aware at my age. I feel like we're like the time between me being an asshole and me apologizing is
You know yourself.
much shorter.
That's what it is.
So I quickly will be like, I get it. Although I don't get it because come on.
And I know about this. Man, she probably won't listen to this, so don't do a clip of it. But
I'm
it
with-
is
yeah.
like
Even
I
if so,
noticed
I
that
doubt they will.
that's happened. Like you said, it happens like a handful of times, and probably like 5 or 6. And the first 2, I noticed it upset her, so I've just faked it since.
I
then.
faked once.
But like,
It's pretty easy.
It's
not hard.
You'd be surprised. The first time you do it, it's very scary because you're like, I'm gonna get caught.
Yeah,
There's no
You're
way.
like, what are we going to do?
But the way it worked for me, it worked just fine. We were traditional doggy style. I'm in the back,
but the cleanup.
and it's not that hard because you pull out, and if you want to get creative, you could just spit on their ass a little.
Okay, I didn't do that.
And that's what I did. And then I grabbed a towel. I was like,
We
let
do-
me get
I like-
this for you.
You just
And
come
then
in.
that's-
You act
Okay.
like you're coming inside them. That's what I do.
Well, I'm not.
It's still
I
something's
got 2
coming
kids, but I
out
try
a
not to
little bit.
come inside people. I'm not married.
Yeah. No, you should.
I already did that twice. I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah.
When a girl says like "come in me," it's probably the hottest thing in the entire world, right? But it's also the scariest thing in the entire world. I never want to do it. So that's kind of what I was saying.
You think that's
It
the
is scary.
hottest?
I mean, it's not the high. I mean, it is very hot, right? Like when you're doing.
I think the hottest thing when you're like eating her out and then she's like
Go on.
you've worked her up enough that she's like fuck me.
yeah.
When they
I mean, that's
demand to
fun.
get fucked,
That's
when
good.
you're but there is when that
Everyone
happens
take notes.
that is hot, but there's also there's probably like 2% of you is like, "Ooh, I hope I can do this."
yeah.
Because this is demanding.
I
But
used-
it also means you've been doing a great job down there. And they're
My-
like, let's
my-
do this. And you're like, okay, yeah. That's,
I feel like maybe that's hot to you because it is the forbidden thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
But,
no, I'm not
you
saying it's like
know-
the hottest thing, and it's very hot. I like that. I mean, I've done that a billion times. Not bill. Okay,
There you
whatever.
go. There you
But
go.
that's
Wilt.
incredibly hot. I used to date this girl for years. We dated, and she would give me a blowjob before we'd have sex. You know, she was giving me like a really good blowjob.
To completion?
Like, well, she would literally. I'd be like squirming, like about to come, and then she'd stop, and she's like, "All right, now fuck me," and I was like.
I can.
I was like, if I put it in there,
I'm
we're
gonna come,
done.
yeah.
I was like, so you just like, so I'd fuck her, and I remember literally thinking like about chairs and penguins and things. I was like, just
Which isn't fun.
it's not fun. So you're just sitting there, you're like trying not to come, which can be fun. That can be fun, but not when you're like, I have to think about other things. You know, I was like,
Because
just
then
don't
you
give me-
also have to stay hard.
yeah,
It's a weird line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, there's always like, there's a thin line of, you know, riding that almost coming. You know, like that's like one thrust an inch too deep, and then you're like, fuck, there it is.
Or if you
know, it's just like you pull out the wrong way, and then you're like, and then you're scared of the pre-com. That's fucking.
You just have to
scary.
stop her earlier and make it seem like it's about her. Like, oh, you're just so hot. Like, I have to have you now.
Yes. The fuck me.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
girl does.
Well, yes, I guess that's true. But sometimes I would just get a blowjob, and that's just all it was. It's like they would just blow me, and then I'd come, and they're like, I just wanted to blow you. Like I didn't want to
She
fuck
sounds
right now.
great.
Well,
yeah,
we broke
where is
up.
this girl?
Yeah.
broke up.
What'd you fucked it up.
Colin.
Here's the thing, though. They listen to this podcast, so
Oh.
yeah, so they'll hear this. And be
Andrew
like,
misses you. Come back.
The blowjob part is special.
All right, let's take a call.
All right, we
Let's
got
do
an
it.
email
Or
from-
email.
What if
An
it's
email
from,
from Andrew's
that lady?
ex-girlfriend?
She's like,
Yeah.
why do you bone me anymore?
I, 20-year-old male, recently had sex with my girlfriend. She's a 20-year-old female, and although the condom didn't break, something felt off about us having sex the other day. We had a prior condom breakage twice before, but I didn't finish. Would it be wrong to ask her to bring up Plan B out of paranoia? It's a gut feeling
No.
that something is up.
No, that's not. It's an adult. If you're going to do sex with someone, you should be able to talk to them about
100%.
what is happening afterwards.
I've also
And
never
you
had
should
anyone
also
get-
have like bail money. You should have morning after pill money.
Yeah,
That is
especially
the-
here in Texas.
It's too late by the time you hear this, so good luck.
Yeah, that's true. And you should get to a different state.
Yeah. Not for nothing, but just so everybody knows, on Amazon you can buy the Plan B for $10.
And you don't have to go to the store.
You
I
don't have to
think
go to the
won't
store.
Planned Parenthood give it to you for free?
Sure.
I think you
But
could.
you can buy it for like $40 at a
At
pharmacist.
CVS, yeah, you go CVS,
That's where I bought
Walgreens,
it.
$40.
E-
I ordered it from Amazon. I just keep a couple around.
Especially this guy is 28. He should be able to talk. He should also be able to just talk to.
20.
Still at 20.
She's 20.
No,
right?
they're both 20.
Oh,
If
they're
you've
both
broken
20,
2 condoms
okay.
with somebody already, you should be able to be like, hey, we should probably get that more. Because
Also-
neither of us seem to want to have a kid.
Yeah.
So we should just.
Also, maybe figure out why your condoms are breaking.
Yeah,
Because your
is
big
there-
old dick, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there
No,
foul
it's
play?
not
So
that.
this is a
No, it's
this
not
is
that.
It can't be
terrible.
that.
The Pert Plus bottle.
Bob Biggerstaff used to have this great joke about he's like one time I took a condom and I put it on the sink and I filled it up with water and it got as big as like a stool, like it filled up that big, and then I have a friend and he's like I gotta get the Magnum ones. And he's like, "Well, you got stool cock? you got a stool." I butchered the joke, but it was just like any condom's gonna fit you, man.
Yeah, I was
like you're
gonna
not. No one's busting out of a condom.
Well, it's the base, I think, is what.
Oh, the thickness. I mean, it was
No, it's the.
it still
it's
gets
the,
wide.
It's the thick,
Have you ever blown one up? They go blow up like a balloon.
but I think it squeezes the tip,
The ring.
the ring.
the ring is where the no.
That's
well,
the difference of the.
I think anytime I've had a breakage, it's the front that blows out. I still got like a ring on.
But I think that's what hurts.
Oh,
That's
okay,
why
yeah,
a Magnum.
But
That's
is
why you
that
need a Magnum.
normal?
I got a skinny
because it
dick.
strikes
Maybe.
me that maybe she is doing something to the condom.
Maybe it's like hitting her IUD or something.
That's what I
just,
was
like,
thinking. It's
pulling
just
on it.
what is that? Just
or
like a
she
piece of
wants
iron
to
or
get
something.
pregnant, and it's like one of
yeah.
those.
The IUD
Or
is
she
like
already
hooking
is, and there's
it
like a
and pulling
baby
it off.
hand
Yeah.
grabbing it.
Ugh.
That's actually a good point. If he's like, hey, let's get a plan B, and she resists, now you
Maybe.
know there's something
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, you're like, this
Maybe
not.
get rid of the stubble. Maybe that's what it is. The stubble's breaking. Maybe lube.
So
Oh yeah, that's good
Lube
too.
seems
Lube
good.
is
Yeah,
probably.
Lube is good, I think.
Yeah.
we say we give unqualified advice, so maybe this is terrible
This felt
advice.
pretty qualified. I
but
feel like that was
what
an
I'm
easy
about
one.
Yeah,
to
two,
say-
two dudes with 2 kids. Yeah, we
Yeah.
know about this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I'm wearing a broken condom
if
now.
you're having sex with someone that you know you're gonna have sex with again, like multiple times, then just like go get tested and then don't fuck with a condom, but just pull out. Is it very hard to pull out? Is that a really stupid?
well,
Well,
there's a
okay,
the
here's-
pre-cum is what you're scared
It
at.
only takes one,
Cum.
not even
Mistake.
one cum,
One sperm.
one sperm, and there's so much that just kind of comes out before because it helps lubricate too, is why it does. But that can, if you're ovulating, magic happens pretty easy.
That's true.
Don't listen to me, kids.
So
I'm
do
barren.
not. But she sounds fun, but don't listen to her. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry.
Because, and I know where this is coming from, because sex with a condom is not as fun.
It doesn't
not.
feel good.
That's
I don't
not
know
as
about
fun.
it. Doesn't feel great. It still feels pretty good.
I think I'm the resident expert on how it feels.
We did it
No,
too.
I'm
We-
kidding. I've never. I actually really
Oh,
in my life.
we weren't talking about how you.
Yeah, we
you
weren't-
feel.
yeah,
This,
we're done.
this is pure.
I didn't know we were going to be guessing how you
gives a
feel. Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
My bad.
We're not married to you.
God damn
Every
it.
person in this room was thinking of themselves.
Yeah. I was thinking of Ben. How it makes him feel.
Oh, buttering me
Let's
up.
do. All right. Let's do one more quick question. We'll get out of here.
All right, this one's real general. I just turned 18. What should I do? My birthday was 2 days ago. I'm nowhere near ready for the real world, but I'm trying to get my footing. What are some things I should do to prepare for the future?
This is lame.
That is an
At 18?
intense.
18-year-old.
I think just here's the things you should do at 18, because you're gonna get okay. Horny's about to really hit. It's you think you're horny now, and what happens when you're 18 is it opens up into your 20s are a mess of horniness. So what I would do,
And then alcohol.
that's what I'm talking about.
That's gonna
So what
really
I would do
Ramp
is
it up.
slowly experiment lightly with what drugs and alcohol you dig. That's what I would do that first summer. I would stay away from any chemicals. I would just do, if it comes from the earth, that's what I would fuck with. I think, and then what I would also do is learn about credit at 18.
God, that's the killer one.
It's really good advice.
I think
I
just to
fucked up.
learn how it works so you don't fuck it up too bad.
I've been fixing my credit because of 18 to 22
Of
forever.
course.
You know?
And I take
was,
back
like, getting
everything
cell
I
phones,
said before.
and then getting cell phones for my friends.
Wear a condom. Wear a
Oh,
condom.
for sure. Wear a condom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Flip flopping.
Credit. I think that's the important thing, man. I was buying cell phones, and then like they're like, well, you get a free phone if you start another line. I go, oh, well, I could use 2 phones, And then it was just like I'd give that to a friend, and then I would run up a 3-month bill and be like, I forgot I didn't have a job. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll switch to Verizon. And so like I just fucked my credit up a lot when I was like 18 to 22. With all sorts of things. I got a little credit card I didn't pay off for a while. Fucking, it's fun. And it's embarrassing and kind of funny when you're fixing your credit as an adult and you're like, I owe fucking Cons television money or whatever.
Well, here's the
Like,
thing.
I couldn't pay my Comcast bill fucking when I was 18.
But the cool thing is, like a lot of statute of limitations,
Yeah, they drop off, but they sell
at
it a lot.
7
So
years, it all
Yeah.
goes away. So if you're going to fuck up, now
Do
is
it
the
now.
time.
Now is the time.
But also realize that you should stop fucking up at some point, and then you're going to have 7 years of being like, "Ugh, shit." So that's
Here's an unpopular thing. They're 18. That means they're fresh out of high school. Don't go to college right now.
no.
Give it
Yeah,
a
I
year.
agree with that.
Give it a year at least. I went to
Also
college.
learn how addiction works.
Uh-huh.
Not like
That's good advice.
not like alcohol or just how it works, because it won't. Because what people also don't realize, this is something that I wish they would teach, and I'm going to teach my children, is that there are so many forms of addiction that we don't address as society, like that fucks people up their whole lives, and they don't even know they're addicted to it.
Give an example.
Shopping,
Okay,
That's-
yeah.
buying
Yeah.
stuff you don't need,
Yep.
those little things, food.
Yeah.
Sugar, like certain things you don't use like you use in excess, fuck you up over time. And it's because we're so focused on like heroin's addictive and alcohol's addictive, and these, because the results are like so loud that, once you start straightening your life out in your 30s or whatever, you start realizing like, oh, I'm also addicted to like this thing, and that's why I can't do these things. And people ask me all the time, like, how did you quit drinking? I was like, well, from the start of drinking, I was like, I don't love this. I think that was a huge part for me. And I was never an everyday drinker. I could binge the fuck out of it, but not every day. And then when I was thinking about quitting, I was curious if I was like an addict or if I was an alcoholic. So I studied how addiction works. And then that really changed my life more than quitting alcohol, was like recognizing these patterns of addiction and things like that. Helped me quit cigarettes, helped me quit these other things. So like, I think we should educate children in high school in those years, those formative years, about like what that actually is.
Yeah.
So,
And not just like dare.
yes.
That's
That's-
yeah.
Maybe this is like the Jew in me, but I just think makes me think everything in moderation, just like
Yeah.
everything in moderation. Even also just like the way you look at things like politics, it just moderation, nuance. Don't be extreme in your choices and do shit that scares you.
Which is extreme
Do shit.
in your choices.
Is that?
Well,
I feel
I
like
think
you
so.
should do things that challenge you. Maybe that's
That's
like the
better.
safer word.
That's a
lot of
safer way
things
to
do
put it.
things that challenge you. Be around different people. Travel. I'm not saying fancy. I get it. You're 18, but just like,
Get therapy early.
Well, we don't teach with the learning process either. Like, my parents are educators, so I was like, it was just beat into me. But like, I think that's a huge problem in our society, is like, there is a process in the learning, like there's a stage in the learning process where it's just shitty and uncomfortable. And you have to push through that to really learn how something like stand up or even podcasting. And like, that's where a lot of people don't make it, is because it gets like, you get kind of good at stand up,
Yeah.
but then there's like this in between where it's like, are you going to be great? And
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
this for you? Is this whole lifestyle thing for you? And most people don't. I mean, they'll still do it, but they don't break through it. They're feature acts for the rest of their fucking
course.
life and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of stuff. And if that makes you feel bad that I say that, get your shit together.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
resilience.
There's definitely
Resilience.
a plateau of like someone will get 20 minutes and then they're like, well, I can do this 20 minutes for
And they do it for a while.
10 years, you know,
But then there's-
or even 45 minutes.
And there's anomalies. There's still motherfuckers who have 45 minutes and been doing it for 35 years.
And they've done the same set headlining and every
they are
fucking
rich
thing.
as fuck, and it is fascinating.
It was wild.
Yep.
I've definitely seen some big headliners come through places, and they have the same closer that they've had the 5 times I've seen them, and I like them, but I also am like, what the hell? Why do people come out to see you twice?
Oh, there's some people
You know?
that like that have like they go back to see that person do that thing.
Yeah.
It's very strange to
Well,
me.
maybe it's kind of like we should wrap it up because we all got shows to do, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like seeing a band. You want to hear like your hits.
I
right.
don't. Okay, I noticed. I can
When I
remember
see
when I
music,
first.
you just want to hear their new stuff when you see a band.
It's totally different.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. But I'm saying that person who's going to see them do that thing again,
I know.
maybe that's
and-
what it becomes.
I noticed it years ago when I was living in Seattle. My wife at the time, not my current wife, got us tickets to go see Gaffigan
Okay.
because I love him. He's great.
yeah.
He's the best. And he was playing a 3,000 seater Paramount.
Yeah.
and-
I just saw him at like a 4,000 fucking thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and so he's doing it 2 nights. I remember being like, I remember I wore a hat because I didn't want people to see me.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like in the audience. I was a fucking young comic. I'm an idiot.
That's funny.
You know, like,
Yeah,
like
no one would've
anyone,
recognized
no
you
one
anyways.
knew who the fuck I was.
Yeah.
I don't want to see I'm watching the show. But the first 10 minutes, he did new stuff, and I was like dying
Yeah.
because I knew all his old stuff,
Yeah,
and I
of course.
was like fucking yes. And then towards the end of it, I look around like, oh, I'm like the only one really digging this.
Yeah.
He's like kind of eating shit.
Yeah.
And then about the time I noticed it, I guess he noticed it too. And then he goes into old stuff that everyone knew, and the place went fucking nuts.
Yeah,
and
I
it's still like, I don't know if you can see it on my face, it still confuses me to this day that they just wanted to hear stuff they knew and were familiar
For
with.
sure.
I
Yeah.
don't. They paid, those tickets weren't cheap. And then they didn't enjoy the new stuff. It fascinates me.
Do you think
It's
there's
also
a
that
part of
size
that
room
anomaly?
is so insane. I think just that size of. I don't mean to cut you off.
No. Go ahead.
But that size of a room, I feel like, is so bizarre and weird. Like waiting for the laughs and stuff. I've never done a room that big yet, like 4,000, something like that. I feel like the killing is it's different, right? It sounds different. I've seen shows that big. So I saw.
I mean, I worked with Ralphie at some of those
Okay,
huge
yeah.
rooms like that. So like, and then I opened for Sturgill in some big rooms. Like, I don't think it's now. I also speak very, kind of slower than most people,
Yeah.
and then I use silences more than a lot of people.
Yeah,
So
you
like
definitely do.
those big rooms don't fuck with me as much because
Yeah.
it's like it actually enhances what I do. So if I can get to that theater level, I'll be real great.
It
get
comes
those-
off as super confident too when you hold a silence. Like,
Well, I am very confident
yeah.
up there more than in real life.
yeah, that's how honestly how.
I saw Todd Glass open for Gaffigan like a year ago in a 4,000 cap room. Todd invited me to the show. I met Todd, and he's like, "I got you tickets," and I don't know why he got me tickets right in the middle in the 4th row.
Because he's funny.
and he goes up and he's fast. He's
Yeah.
like he's a quick comic. I love him. I think he's great. He is just eating shit, and
Well, he's a comedian's comedian.
for sure,
I
he's not.
fucking
I
love
love
him.
him. He's not doing well. I'm laughing. The people I'm with are laughing. But then
He's not for-
It's like 4,000 or 5,000 people out there just like confused. And then at one point he stops and he goes, "Andrew, how am I doing?" I
He's
died. Yeah, it's so good.
He was one of the first ones I was working at, like, because if you're a comedy nerd and you love comedy, you think these people you like and love are like huge.
Yeah.
So when I first started working at Zany's, like it was before Tosh was Tosh.
Yeah.
He was already like Tosh and like funny and different.
Yeah.
But he came through and like didn't, there were like 30 people on Thursday.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, I don't understand. And then Todd Glass came. I was like so excited because
Yeah.
he's Todd Glass. And it was like it was like people didn't really know who he was that were at the show. And then they would get mad.
And not, yeah.
And then, but I'm in the back like crying.
It's like seeing
at him.
Kindler.
Like it's better than Kindler.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, I'm just saying it's similar.
But it's like I'm like at one point some dude hated him. It's one of the best. It's one of the most amazing pieces of crowd work I've ever seen, and it was just in that moment I got to see it. This dude was so mad at him, and what Todd did was he made the guy. He was like, "Here's your choice. You can leave like I want you to." Or you can stay and just sit in the mad and not enjoy it because you want to piss me off because I want you to leave. So I want you to sit. And the guy just sat there and stewed the whole time. And I was like, that's the most genius shit I've ever seen. Was like, you want to leave? He's like, that's what I want you to do. So now you're going to stay. And the guy stayed. I was like, oh, this guy's a genius. He's never going to be that famous, but he's a genius. So I do that on Twitter sometimes with people, and I'm like, I'm not going to be famous. I'm yelling at some weirdo.
We should go.
Thanks for writing in, and please keep doing it. Call, leave us a voicemail, tweet at us, send us a message on Instagram, whatever it is.
Carrier pigeon.
And we'll
That'd
give
be
you
awesome.
terrible advice. Send us anything, please. Better than an 18-year-old asking us what to do with his life. No, I'm kidding, kid. You're going to be fine. So I'm going to plug my website that is not up to date still, but JamieRowanComedy.com. Follow me on Instagram at @TheJamieRowan. And yeah.
AndrewYoungblood.com. I got all my shows up there. I got the taping, but not for a couple months. But they're moving, so please get tickets because it's going to sell out. And then, that's it. AndrewYoungblood.com. Follow me on bullshit. You can see it now. And then leave voicemails, 832-744-9492 with your problem. And thanks for joining us.
Hey, what's up? This is Billy Wayne Davis. If you Google Billy Wayne Davis, all my stuff comes up. I have a special called Testify that's out on 800-pound gorilla whatevers. I'm very proud of it. It's very good. You should watch it. And I also have another special you can watch. It's live at Third Man Records from Jack Watts Third Man Records in Nashville. I'm very proud of that. And then I'll be on tour all over. So come see me live. I'm really good. Bye.
Woo.
All right. Let's just